Good morning, Chris. How are you?
Morning, Jason. How are you today?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm excited about this. Excited about this. Thanks for being here.
Yep. No, happy to be a part of this and happy to be a part of Quis Machinery as you guys grow as a company. Taylor, JLT, and Cameron working as a partnership has been fruitful over the years and continues to be.
And me personally, I've learned a lot from our relationship too, and I really appreciate that. And I actually, one second, I need to get my coffee.
Oh, well, if we're going to have a coffee with Quis, you almost got to have your coffee.
That was pretty funny. So tell me about James L. Taylor. Tell me about your role there and your history with the company. Can you give us a little bit of background there?
Yeah, and thank you for asking. James L. Taylor Manufacturing is an American manufacturer out of Poughkeepsie, New York, which Poughkeepsie is situated, if you know New York State, you got New York City, and then you got Albany running north and south along the Hudson River. Poughkeepsie is almost in the center of that. So we're easily accessible. I guess we'd be considered a southern part of New York. New York's a beautiful state, and born and raised really in Poughkeepsie. Moved down to North Carolina almost 18 years ago now. But James L. Taylor Manufacturing, as a manufacturer, had been in business since 1911. And an interesting bit of history, the company actually started in 1900, making hand clamps and such. And it wasn't until 1911 that the Taylor Manufacturing Company, as it stands. So when we put on our logos and all the pertinent information regarding the history of our company, we actually put 1911. And then from there, many folks associated Taylor with a rotary clamp carrier. And the first clamp carrier rotary system, which was in 1928. And back then, that would have been revolutionary to, instead of having hand clamps all throughout the woodworking factories back then, the Taylor rotary was really the first of its kind.
Sure.
Yep.
Sure. I've always asked myself how they, just the different versions of it, like going back. I'd love to see some of those older ones and how they turned and how that's changed. It's always very interesting. I have a couple customers who I swear still have some of those from the 1920s, 30s. They seem to last forever.
Oh yeah, no, our owner, Michael Burtis, who had been putting together kind of a historical information regarding the company over recent years, and he was able to acquire a very old clamp carrier, and I don't remember the exact year, but let's say it was from the 30s as an example. That has actually been cleaned up and put in our lobby of our main factory in our office in Poughkeepsie. So as you walk in, you get a little table of some historical documents and some pieces, and there's a small clamp right there. Over the years, I think the oldest machine I've been a part of or worked on was a 1955 Taylor clamp carrier that had been replaced and updated. And so as the customer said, working with Taylor is pretty good. We only got to buy a new machine every roughly 50 years. We kind of like that. So
that's good. That's good payback. That's pretty good payback. So you and I worked together for 7 years now, and I know you're pretty involved in the industry too. Would you mind telling us a little bit about that, like your role in the? I know you've been with James L. Taylor for about 30 years now. I think you just mentioned that the number, almost 30, and but I know you've been involved in the industry too, the Wmma, correct?
Yeah. You start to date yourself, but I actually started Taylor in December of 1991. And I remember it so well because that was the year my daughter was born. So I started a new career and started a family in that timeline. And then from there, so, when I started at Taylor, essentially I was an inside production clerk. helping set up jobs for the manufacturing process, helped out in shipping and some various other tasks in the factory itself. And then from there, did purchasing for a couple of years. And then from that point, a pivotal point in my career was in 1995, which is when the JLT clamps line started. And essentially from Taylor Manufacturing, a small products division was created and started by Michael Burtis. And I was fortunate to be one of the people to be part of that as far as the sales team. So when JLT started, the premise was the rotary clamp carriers had always been the mainstay in these large to medium furniture and woodworking shops. The idea was there's thousands and thousands of small custom shops throughout North America and even the world. But getting started, our focus really was North America and Great Britain as an example. So myself and a gentleman by the name of Doug Capers, we worked together for a number of years getting that new product line started and off the ground. And so fast forward to 2002, I moved to Greensboro, North Carolina, where Michael had purchased a piece of property, which had also been in the industry for a lot of years, JM Lancaster, which essentially had gone out of business. And we acquired the building and the rights of the equipment and that whole factory. So we slowly converted that from a Lancaster factory into a dedicated JLT clamps factory. And the side note on that was we actually outgrew the space we had in Poughkeepsie that we were building alongside the Taylor machines at the time. So myself and Craig Caldwell had moved to North Carolina. Craig managed the business and managed the shop, and I managed the sales and marketing and advertising and business development as far as distribution and sales of that machinery. So hence the logo JLT clamps. People who know me will know that I bleed blue, because that was kind of from its infancy. Joining JLT and seeing it become successful in a brand name in the industry has really been a big part of my career.
And then you became a leader within the WMMA, the Woodworking Machinery Manufacturers Association.
Yeah, so it was right around 2005 in North Carolina here, where a gentleman by the name of Bill Norton came to visit me, and at that time he was kind of the director of Wmma, which is the Woodworking Machinery Manufacturers of America. And our owner, Michael Burtis, and before him, Steele Cameron, had been a huge volunteer. I mean, just a major part of the association. Being a longstanding American manufacturer, the WMMA has always been part of our company, has always been part of our DNA, to not only see what's going on with our company, but to see what's going on in the industry through the eyes of other American manufacturers. So Michael had never pushed me to join and be a participant or volunteer in the association, but I was given the opportunity to see if I would be interested to do so. So it was right around the end of 2005, and I became an active volunteer in the WMMA. And I had volunteered for a committee called Business Development, which again was a number of other American manufacturers, such as Safety Speed, Unique Machine Tool, William and Hussey, Time Savers, and Marine Johnson, and then just to name a few, as an example, Newman Machine is another one that had been a longstanding member. So from that point, volunteering in 2006, I had the opportunity to be a part of a committee, and then to be a vice chair of that committee in 2009, 2010, with Jamie Scott, who's been a good friend now for many years. And I remember taking over that committee and merging it with the advertising, the marketing committee with Dick Cowan. And, as I mentioned these names, these are people that have been part of my life and have been friends now for well over 10 years. And if I could say anything about the WMMA and the associations in the industry, you not only meet like-minded folks that are hardworking and successful in the industry, but you really do form a bond as far as the friendships with them and their families over the years. And you find that you have trusted partners in the industry that you can bounce ideas, share success stories, and get to know folks that you may never get to know. You know, I've always had the honor and privilege of working and taking the advice of Michael Burtis, who's the owner of Taylor. But outside of that, to get to know people like Jim Laster at Newman, Tom Onsrud and the Onsrud family from Sierra Onsrud, as an example, and Brian Donahue from Safety Speed Manufacturing over the years, just to name a few. They are such good folks, and you get to see what our industry's really like. So, and then from there, I was fortunate to get on the WMMA board in 2013. And then from there, kind of got on a track to, and I was elected president of the association in 2016. And I had just recently, being 2020 now, served my term as president and past president. And it was just this past May where I finished my term on the executive committee. So where I still reside as chair of the membership development committee, which is my current chair role. I'll be rolling off of that come next year. So, you know, I've had a fruitful, successful career with WMMA going on almost 15 years now. And all I can say is I've learned a lot from many folks in the industry. And what a great opportunity if you're young, or if you're new to the industry. You don't have to be young. If you're new to the industry, to join a committee or join the association and just see the bigger picture. And the biggest benefit is you get into your company bubble and you see what you do on a daily basis. You really get to see how other folks perform and manage the market as well. So
I love my role in the association. I love being part of them, and then the relationships we make. And I mean, our relationship's grown from that, even though we ride together, you know, out on territory once a month. You know, it's still just getting to see you there and in that environment and discussing the future of the industry and seeing other colleagues. It's a very valuable time. Your role in the in the WMMA was pretty crucial this past year as we looked to as everything going on with IWF 2020. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that and your role? I understand you're with the IWF committee, correct?
That is correct. So as I finished the leadership roles in the WMMA, I was certainly honored to be elected on the IWF committee. And it is certainly a great honor in the industry to be part of that. IWF is a very important part of our industry. It's IWF International Woodworking Fair. Takes place in the even years, usually the third week in August. And this year was, a bit of a challenge with all that's going on in the world. Unfortunately, the show will not happen. However, the brand is alive and well, and it had been consistent for a few decades now. So we're all looking forward to a very strong, IWF 22 when things kind of get back to normal. In the interim, something that's important to note is that Iwf Connect is a new brand, part of the IWF show, and it'll be its own entity that will be a virtual platform, and that will take place in October of 2020. So although we didn't physically have the show this August, again, the brand that has been very successful and well known, and the owners of that show are Wmma and Wmia, which we partner so well for the success of that show with the IWF staff, that the launching of Iwf Connect at the end of October this year is just the next step as we think about how folks communicate, look at machinery and services and how do they get to the next level of purchasing or acquiring. So
Sure, sure.
but
It's great.
my term with IWF will be until 2024, and so I've got a few more show cycles under my belt that we will certainly be a part of and see the success of the show. You know, in particular, in my career over the span of almost 30 years, I love the trade shows. I mean, I had help. At one point, I liked being kind of like the first one in, last one out. I enjoyed the whole process of seeing everything come to fruition, having the show, engaging with customers and distributors and all the folks that attend, and then kind of having that success of acquiring a good amount of sales, and then packing up and heading out of town. So IWF has been a part of my life my entire career. So luckily I was elected to be on the committee, which for me felt like a good fit because
sure.
I already had IWF ingrained as a major part of what Taylor does as a company, as an exhibitor, as well as the importance in the industry for the leadership, for the communication, for the education, and really the gathering of all the successful companies in the industry for that timeline. So
that's great. That's great. Thanks for sharing that. So let's talk a little bit about the industry and your company. Just kind of a fun question here. What's your company's favorite word?
Really, I think our favorite word is we love being a manufacturer. And what that means, at least to me, and in my humble opinion, is that being an American manufacturer is we like to engage with our customers and provide the quality, service, and support. So as a manufacturer, really the other favorite word is service and support. How do we support our customers once they have our equipment, once they have our machinery running in their factory? And so, first and foremost, we're an American manufacturer. So in my eyes, that's my favorite word or words.
That's good.
But the meaning in that really is that quality, service, and support.
And your favorite word?
My favorite word, and this is an easy one as I go down the list of questions that you sent, Jason. It's family. First and foremost, people ask what gets you up in the morning, what keeps you going, and being a father and husband for a little over 30 years now, and being part of a company that's family owned for going on 30 years. As I surround myself with good people and family, the word family, it can't be overstated, and it has so much meaning to me, because to me, as I've been a part of so many folks around me and in my family and in the industry, it really is, what does family mean? And just simply, it's commitment, it's responsibility, it's loyalty, it's honesty, and to my wife and kids, it's an unconditional love, is what it is. So that was an easy question, because that's what makes me tick is family and family time in our busy lives.
What I'm not surprised to hear you say that answer at all, knowing you the way I do. What does a great day look like at your company?
Really, and I've been fortunate to be part of quite a few over the years. And when we're able to engage with the customer and provide a piece of equipment that solves a bottleneck in their shop, or creates a solution, or improves a process, when we're able to do what we say, which we do, but when the customer sees it that way. So we engage with the customer, we provide that level of service and that equipment, that works for them, but also exceeds their expectation. And really the great day is when the customer says, yep, it does exactly as advertised. It does exactly what you said, Chris. And, for us, the great day is when not only they get machine number 1, but when they get machine number 2, 3, 4, and 5. And the great day is that level of partnership. And over the years, it's been interesting that people ask, who are your customers? And I say, well, we've got a number of customers, but let me tell you about some of the partnerships we've formed over the years with so many companies around the world. Sure. Nowadays I cover the Southeast for the most part, but the important note is a great day at Taylor is when a customer acknowledges not only did we provide them a piece of equipment, but we provided a level of service that really equates to a partnership, and in some cases over decades with a customer.
Sure. And then it sounds to me, Chris, like you're very invested in the relationship you have with your customers. It sounds like I've been fortunate enough to be a part of some of those great days that you were just describing, the partnership level feel, the multi-machines, over the course of decades of relationship with the manufacturer, with the customer manufacturer. What do you feel like is the secret to that? What's creating that accomplishment for you all at James L. Taylor?
In my opinion, I would say it's our ability to change, adapt, and react to the marketplace, react to the changes with the customers over the years of what their needs are. Our model hasn't changed as far as building high quality American machines and giving that service and level of support, but it's our inventiveness, it's our creativity to look at a customer's needs and create machinery that fits their model today. So we continue to look at needs and look at our customers of what they're going through and how do we help solve those issues, and the other part of it is, our company as a manufacturer, American manufacturer, we don't try to be everything to everyone. We know exactly what we're good at and we focus on that and we improve on that over the years. We continue to be better at what we're, I've always been the type of person, do what you can control, and focus on that. And with the Taylor, Cameron, and JLT lines, we're able to focus on solid wood oriented type companies in the marketplace and offer solutions for specific, processes. And we stick to that. And in saying that, we're able to update and change how the machines work and interact with that process over the decades.
Sure. Yeah, I agree with you there. Chris, so thinking about where you've been and your ability, your company's ability to adapt, your involvement with the association over the years, where we are, where do you feel like when you look ahead 5 years, we're always, as manufacturers, as your manufacturing dealer partner, we're always trying to, where's it going to go? Where do you feel like this industry is going to head in the next 5 years?
Well, with the internet and with social media and the ability to get information instantly, that's only going to happen more. And what it'll be, the challenge moving forward is getting correct, detailed information from the manufacturer to the end user, to our customers. And as great as the internet is for that quick answer, unfortunately, there is too much information and too much noise on the internet. And what happens there is that folks that may not be aware of a certain process or a certain machine, the internet can be helpful for specs and features, as an example. But quite frankly, what I hope doesn't change in the next 5 years is still that one-on-one, that relationship with the customer, that as the manufacturer and the distributor invest the time to learn about and be on site about what a customer's needs are, what the customer is looking not only do today and tomorrow, but what they're looking to do in 5 years. And I don't see, even with technology and the ability to get information faster and faster every day, I hope that never changes, because it's a part of the it's a part of the job that I enjoy, is the interaction with the distributor and the customer to create a solution. But also, that's how you form that partnership, is when you vest yourself and invest the time with a customer. You give them the actual correct information. You're able to learn exactly what their needs are. So even though the internet is a great tool, and that will continue with things such as e-commerce and the YouTubes and the information that's out there to look at and purchase equipment moving forward, I guess we're on that, maybe a bit old school, because, you know, when I started my career, we didn't really have the internet or cell phones. So I take that really to heart of the level of quality and service we can provide to a customer if they give us the opportunity to get in front of them, let us walk their floor, let us see what their challenges are, and really invest in their business and let them see that.
Sure. I was thinking about this the other day. I was searching. I was frustrated with a provider of a subscription tracking. It's a hiking tool that I use, and I was trying to reach out to them because I had some questions, and I couldn't find a phone number on their website. I couldn't find any way to reach them except this chat button. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh gosh, but then I did the chat, and it took a little while, and I got distracted by a work, email, and I went away from the chat. They called me the very next day and said, hey, we lost you on the chat. We wanted to make sure you're okay, and left their phone number. And I was like, okay, so here was the situation where I thought I was being treated this new impersonal, difficult to reach way. But as soon as they got the chance, as soon as they knew I was a legit customer, they were trying to weed out their customers, Mm-hmm. And I thought, it's it's going to be an interesting day, because we're going to see more and more of those websites where there's not just the phone number. So the guys like me and you who just want to pick up the phone and call somebody can just call, and they want to have a way to weed them out too. So it's interesting. Yeah. So I guess that kind of leads right into the next. The question is a piece of technology that's you feel like it's had the biggest impact on our industry over the last 20 years. It sounds like it's either the internet or the phone, or that. What do you feel like that is?
Yeah, it really is smartphones and specifically texting.
Yeah.
We're maybe as a culture, maybe as a society, not just our industry, is that when you wanted information or when you wanted to find out something, you would call someone or you would go visit them. And now it's so easy to send a text or find that information on your smartphone and then send a text. And in some cases that's fine. Again, if you're asking about how long something is or how many pieces it does in a day, sure. But what I still try to do, even though I may email and I may text, I still like the fact that the interaction of a phone call or a visit, in my opinion, still creates more value.
Sure. Oh yeah, that's very, very true. So when you think about the industry and where it's going the next 5 years, from health of the industry standpoint, looking at the metrics or the key performance indicators, otherwise known as key KPI, what are some data points that you all pay attention to, that you look at and you go, okay, the industry is moving this way, industry is doing well, the industry is healthy, there's a lot of business out there. What do you all look at James L. Taylor?
Yeah. So there's a few good barometers, and there's multiple sources within the industry to find this out. But for Taylor, for what we do, something I personally look at first and foremost is residential housing. What is the uptick, or what is the rate on permits, and then actual home sales, and that, and you can track that regionally by state, and you can look at, you know, what homes have been bought and sold, what the inventory is, as well as number of permits. And the nice thing about number of permits is that it really does kind of let you know what's coming down the pike over the next 6 to 9 months.
Sure.
So first and foremost, it'd be residential single home housing. Then second, it will be commercial, and then hospitality, which there's a number of customers that are really geared towards hospitality, whether it be restaurants, hotels, of that nature. So those are the three things that I kind of look at. And then from there, you really try to take a snapshot within the industry. What is lumber? How much inventory, or how easy it is to get raw lumber? And then where are wood prices going for the various processes, whether it be from a door, cabinet door, entry door, to a tabletop, as an example. So what are wood prices, and what are they doing?
Sure.
And then the other barometer I look at externally is the stock market. Because as you look at the stock market, if you're a small business owner, you know, if the stock market's doing really well, you might be a bit more bullish to make an investment. I feel that there's some sort of correlation. Many folks will say there's not much of a correlation between Wall Street and Main Street, but I feel that we're mood driven as a culture. So seeing a nice stock market, a bullish stock market, I would say people tend to be a bit more confident making purchases.
Sure.
And then really the last barometer is looking at population of where folks are moving to, what the population increases are from state to state. And then what's the labor pool look like? What's unemployment look like? And what's the skilled labor pool potentially coming into the industry?
Yeah, that brings up a great point. Is the labor skills gap is something that we, as Quis Machinery, you all as James L. Taylor, I think each of our manufacturers have mentioned it at least 2 or 3 times that we work with our customers and our manufacturing partners. How do you feel like you're largely wood industry, you're pretty much specifically the wood industry. How do you feel like the wood industry is handling that labor skills gap?
Well, it's a bigger picture than that, because overall the wood industry is a fairly small industry compared to some others. But as I see it, kind of stepping back in that 10,000 foot view, is where are young people learning to work with their hands? And woodworking, wood industry would be a component of that. And it really starts, career technical education starts in high schools, tech schools, and then what colleges or, any kind of trade schools offer. But bringing up young people that they have some sort of woodworking class or metal class in high school that may interest them to move forward with learning a trade in one of the technical schools, such as maybe operating a CNC, or learning to make a cabinet door, learning to be a carpenter, learning to be a woodworker. So I think as a country, and this is a bigger discussion, but we can all play a role as a manufacturer. The associations in the industry can all be a factor on how we communicate with local, state, and federal government on finding those young people. And quite frankly, don't have to be young people. They can be folks that are that were in the military, that have retired from the military. They could be folks that are changing careers from one industry to another. And there has to be an avenue that we share in the wood industry of finding a place of where they can learn how to be a woodworker. It's quite an interesting talent. And it does take a good level of expertise. And Jason, as you know, you've done it. You've been a woodworker. You've been a successful woodworker. And I can only imagine, and I think this is true, that as you were looking for that career path going on 7-8 years ago, you kind of gravitated towards woodworking because you loved it. And you had some training in it, and you knew how to make a table and a door and a piece of furniture, which you were good at. I feel that, that may have been one of the reasons why, and our industry is very fortunate to have you, but you had that level of training to learn how to be a good carpenter and woodworker.
It's well, good at the woodworking is different than profitable at the woodworking. I'll say that. I did, and it was a career change for me. It was a pretty massive one, and it was about. I did reach a point in my career where I was thinking about, the skills we have that we each bring to our community, right? And our skill is listening to our customers that we use, and we listen and we talk and call it. What we do isn't that different from what a therapist might do, or different from what an ambassador might do between two countries, trying to help people, come up with a bridge, right? A bridge between the manufacturer of the machine and the user of the machine, and making sure that it's the right fit, that it's the right partnership, like you were talking about. But I really wanted another skill, and I loved wood, and I fell in love with a couple pieces of furniture, and I was like, man, I'd love to be able to make that. I'd love for me to say, man, I really need a coffee table. How about I just make it? And I just, and then that led to an interest in a hobby. And then that hobby, when I was looking for a new career, led to a career after I read a book by James Krenoff. And it was the Cabinet Maker's Notebook. It was great. So, but back to you. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
I do digress.
And, for anyone that may view this and really take this, there is a shortage of skilled labor in the wood industry at all levels. And that shortage of skilled labor, at some point we're going to need to fill those positions and fill those gaps. But again, it starts with that local high school. It starts with the trade schools and getting funding, whether local, state, and federal. It really is a responsibility of the associations and manufacturers to take a look at that and say, hey, we've got some non-traditional students that they may go to college, but they may not be an engineer or an office type employee. They like to work with their hands. So there may be some young people that say, I would love to learn how to work with my hands. What's available to me? There are some folks probably coming out of the military that are looking for a new career path. There's folks that maybe be coming into the country that are wanting to learn a new career path. So knowing that this is an ongoing challenge, I think everyone can put their hat in the ring. And I know that the Wmma and Wmia has been a proponent of trying to take a front seat to this and work on it. A good friend of mine over the years, Steve Carter with William & Hussey, he's a huge proponent of CTE. Career technical education is a big part of what he really has a passion for, and he's been a driver of that in recent years. So moving forward, we've got some momentum, and we acknowledge that there's a shortage of skilled labor. And I just hope more folks get on board, and I hope that any non-traditional student watching this says, hey, there's an opportunity in the wood industry, and I like to work with my hands. What's the next step?
Yeah, I think that's partly our responsibility too, as the manufacturers of the equipment. So another way to look at this is he's coming over, he or she, let's say she's coming over for another career. She has a family to provide for. She can't do that starting wage job. You know, she needs to come into a job that's got a little bit more value to it, to the company, because, you know, the job, theoretically, the manufacturer of the furniture is basing the value of that job based on what they're getting from it, right? So the parts, the number of pieces, the number of whatever however you're going to judge it. But then they're also bringing somebody on who doesn't know, you know, still needs that learning. And so you want to provide a piece of equipment that creates big value for the company and minimal, you know, learning curve for the operator, right? And I think that's a big part of what you and I do is helping the manufacturer find that happy medium where they can say, okay, yes, this person's new, but they can run this machine or this cell, and that's going to create this much volume, this much value for my company in terms of sales, in terms of production. And so I can afford to pay them a little bit more than maybe I should, based on the fact that they're an entry level worker, and because they're still creating good value for the company. I think that's part of what we do as the machinery provider, as the solutions provider. And I love that part of our job. So thinking about career shifts, what profession other than this one would you, Chris Hacker, have think about every now and then? I go, you know.
Well, this may maybe not so much a career path, because I have enjoyed working for Taylor for 30 years
Sure.
now, and at 50, I've probably got another hopefully 25 years. So, but something that would be pretty neat, and I've been extremely fortunate to be a part of as my kids were growing up, is to coach various sports and to coach young people. And if given the opportunity to coach a high school baseball or high school football team or a high school volleyball team, which I actually did for a few years way back when my daughter Amanda was in high school. The thing I really enjoy about high school is the innocence, is the growth and seeing a young person as they develop in high school to then potentially be a college player or even professional. And coaching various sports, but mostly volleyball in North Carolina now, going on 18 straight years, because I continue to coach volleyball for a middle school team. It's so engaging and so rewarding. And I do it as a volunteer, and what the parents and kids, I mean, I get more out of it maybe than they do, because I just enjoy the process of taking a group of kids that don't know each other, haven't learned a skill set yet, because I see a coach just like a manufacturer. I'm building something. And as a coach, you're providing leadership, you're doing training, you're providing that work ethic, and you're building a team to be successful. You're building a team to be able to move forward, that work together and can be successful together. And there's a lot to be said about that. So, you know, that's kind of a cool thing for me, is that if I ever had the opportunity, maybe someday when I retire, I might be a full-time coach for a sport in high school. So
You're known in our industry for giving out nicknames. I think I just decided I'm gonna start calling you Coach.
Oh, well,
I think that's gonna be your new nickname for me.
I think I'm showing my age then.
I'm gonna start calling you Coach Hacker, Coach Chris. I'll come up with some pretty good ones.
Well, I will say this, Jason. Something that's extremely gratifying is that kids that I coached with my daughter many years ago, and now that they're grown and have their own families, and I may see them in the supermarket or see them, you know, outside, and they'll come up, and it's been 15 plus years since maybe I even seen them, and they'll come up to me and they'll say, Coach Hacker, how, and that's something that, you just, it's really gratifying that they not only remember you, but they remember learning and having that team spirit that we shared for a short period of time. So that is something that over the years that I those are some of the words I love to hear. Is Coach Hacker.
Yeah, me too. It's a good role. That's a good one. What historical figure do you most identify with?
Well, the folks that I read up the most about and that I have the most interest in, because they have played such a pivotal role in our American history, and I'm kind of a history buff, specifically American history, because I think what we have here is so special, although not perfect, and we've made our mistakes over the centuries, but there's something special about the American spirit. And so people that I kind of look to and read about would be Abraham Lincoln, Walt Disney, and Ronald Reagan. And interesting enough, for different reasons, because they're at very different time periods of our history. But I don't know if any of us would be here as we are today with the opportunities we have if it wasn't for Abraham Lincoln. Here's someone under a huge amount of adversity who had the leadership and the backbone and the fortitude to bring a country together. And that's hard to do. It doesn't matter what part of history you're in, modern day or not. And sure. Abraham Lincoln, to me, is not only my favorite president, but someone very special to me.
Sure. One of my favorite things that you mentioned Walt Disney too. One of my favorite parts of Disney World is the Abraham Lincoln. It's like a theater type thing where you go right. And there's a robotic Abraham Lincoln speaking. It's pretty impactful. What is your greatest extravagance? I guess I know what this is going to be then.
So in the spirit of being a fan of Walt Disney and reading his autobiography, our family has been fortunate that we've had a number of Disney World vacations in Florida. So we consider Florida to be almost a second home at this point over the years. And to visit Disney World is special in its own right, just based on the level of creativity, something that really hadn't been done before, and something that's lasted through the decades, that continues to be just kind of that thing where you can take your family to and kind of look around and say, we might step away from the real world for a couple of days and just engage ourselves in all the sights and sounds and activities that Disney World offers, which sure. in my opinion is just special.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm with you. It is special. What talent would you most like to have?
Probably to be a carpenter. To be able to build something with wood. Working with our customers, I can certainly successfully help make a cabinet door. And,
sure, I've seen you do it.
Yeah, I love working with the cabinet door guys. I love that, and tabletops and such. But to be able to rebuild my own kitchen, that would be pretty neat.
That would be cool.
Yeah, and it's a special skill set. So in saying that, I don't cut anything short as far as the level of talent it takes to do, and that would be pretty neat.
It is pretty cool. What fuels you creatively?
Oh, I would just say, my kids and young people. As far as the creativity goes, there's nothing more pure and innocent than a young person when they learn to do a process or they learn to do an activity. Something as simple as teaching your daughter to ride her bike for the first time without training wheels. And you get excited about that because for kids, they have that level of, I'm not real confident, I'm not real sure what it does, but I want to try that. And as you get older, you may not challenge yourself as more because you kind of get settled. And it's the old adage of, why do you climb the mountain? Because it's there.
That's
And
right.
and so I love to see kids and young people when they learn something new and they challenge themselves. It reminds some older people like myself, hey, keep doing that.
That's right. That's right. That's good. And lastly, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Well, you probably say you're late because as life, anyone knows me, I can be a bit late for things. So God would probably say, you spent a lot of time down there. I hope you got it all done because you didn't show up when we wanted you to. And my response would be, as great as it is maybe up here, there's still a lot of good work to be done here on earth. And, God willing, hopefully, turning 50 this year, hopefully I'm fortunate enough to get another 50 and do some more good.
I hear you. I hear you. Hopefully. I hope that as well, my friend. It was great talking to you. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today on Coffee with Quis. And looking forward to our next trip together. And once we can do so without masks, and hopefully the next time I interview you, will be sitting in the same room. That'd be great too. So thanks for taking the time and making this work.
Yep, Jason, thank you. And I appreciate the partnership over the years and the growing partnership and success we have together with Taylor and Quis Machinery. If I had any words to leave you with, I would just be that better times are ahead. And as we all meet challenges, we should all be mindful that we're very fortunate of where many of us are today. And as these challenges subside and as the waters recede, better times are ahead. And it's that level of stay the course and just keep doing what you're good at. And again, the something I live by is do what you can control and do it well. There's things out of our control in the world right now. But by keeping our family safe and working hard to make an honest living, those are things that we can still control and do well at. So, and I'm happy to be able to do that with you when we work the Carolinas and Virginia and association work together. So, thank you for growing a company that I'm proud to have a new partner in the business with.
Sounds good, Chris. Thank you.
Yep.
I appreciate that too. Thanks for saying so. All right.